Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bailey. If you're new here, I make book content, university content, vlogs, whatever my heart desires. One of my favorite YouTubers just made this video. 2024 TBR for the rest of the year. Knock out some more amazing reads. Hopefully find some more 5 stars in here. I'm gonna jump into saying that this is a little bit ambitious. I do have a reading goal of 50 books this year, and as of posting this, I'm at 31. So I'm not too far off, about 19 books for the last 4 months of the year, roughly 5 books a month, which is reasonably realistic for myself. However, I am starting school back up in September, so between school and working, we will see how this goes, but I have super high hopes and I do believe in myself. I do think I can do a lot of these books. That being said, I am going to be talking about 20 plus books in this video. If I make it to them, amazing. I am a bit of a mood reader, so chances are I will go to read one of these books and not be in the mood for it, so I just have a little bit of wiggle room within this list. That being said, let's just start off with the ones that I've already started, books that I've kind of soft DNF'd or series that I'm in the middle of. Starting off strong, I am currently about 50% of the way through Kingdom of Ash, so I would love to finish that one up within the next couple. I believe the last book in Throne of Glass. I still haven't read The Assassin's Blade, so I'm probably going to read that one afterwards, unless I get really tired of reading Kingdom of Ash and I want to like switch it up a little bit. But as of right now, Kingdom of Ash, and then I'm going to read The Assassin's Blade last. I am still kicking myself about not reading it first. I wish I read that before the whole rest of the series, but whatever, we move on. Moving along, I am hoping to read Caught Up and Play Along, which are the 3rd and 4th books in the Windy City series. I have been loving this series. Caught Up follows Kai and Miller. It's a baseball romance. I believe it's kind of a forbidden dating kind of thing because she's the nanny for, I believe, his son, if I'm not mistaken. And then the 4th follows Kennedy and Isaiah. And I do believe this is fake dating, and I have been obsessed with fake dating. I was not expecting myself to really love that trope as much as I have been lately, but again, another baseball romance, and I am just eating her books up. I am obsessed with the series. It took me so long to actually want to try it just because the books are kind of big for romance novels. In my head, a romance novel should be like 300 pages, 350 max. These ones kind of dip more into the 400, 450 range. They just feel a little bit more daunting. But I will do it. I am going to finish this series because I am just loving the way that Liz Tomford writes romance and really visualizes these spaces. My 5th book is kind of random. I started reading The Shining by Stephen King a little while ago, and I'm still really enjoying it. I'm still super early. I think I'm maybe 10-15% of the way through. I was just looking for something a little lighter. Again, mood reading. I wanted something fluffy, something easy that I can just kind of digest really quickly. However, I do want to read a couple more of his books. Maybe not this year, maybe next year I'll do like a deep dive into his work. But for this year, I definitely would like to finish reading The Shining. It's also pretty big for a horror book. I believe it's 600 to 700 pages. And again, usually in my head, thrillers, horror books, romance books, they can be capped at 400 max usually. I just want to know what the hype is about with him and his writing. This next one is one that has low-key kind of taken over the booktube space lately. And I don't know, I've never really heard of this author too much before this past couple weeks, but it is Kristen Hanna's Firefly Lane. Oh my god, that was horrible. Kristen Hanna's Firefly Lane. I'm sure we've all kind of heard about this book a little bit now, but it does follow a group of women and their friendships through their lives. I hear it is devastatingly sad, so it's definitely going to have to be when I'm craving a sad book, which lately I have been, and it seems like everybody else kind of is too. There is also a TV series from this book, I believe, and I would love to watch that. Apparently that's kind of confusing if you haven't read the book already, so I think this is definitely the right move to kind of jump into the book, and it'll also be my first Kristen Hanna book, so I'm excited. Next up, I have Everyone on This Train is a Suspect. This is actually from the same author as Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, and this was one of my top favorite reads from last year. So I hear this one has very similar vibes. He's a very funny author, I find often, I don't know if I'm right in saying this, but a lot of times books written by men don't really resonate with me in the same way. They just have a different writing style, I find. However, I ate this book up. I read this book in one sitting. I was addicted to it. His writing is so good at getting across humor. And I feel like I don't read a lot of like necessarily funny books. So the fact that I loved this makes me super, super excited and super, super hopeful that this one will be just as good. I actually had a client tell me that she read this and she was obsessed with it. It's very similar style to the other one. So yeah, it's also a pretty short read. They're not huge books. I think they're maybe 300 pages. Yeah, just over 300 pages. So hopefully that'll be an easy one to kind of knock off, maybe closer to Halloween, if I'm feeling some kind of like mystery vibes. I apologize in advance for the way I'm about to pronounce this book because I have no idea if it's right. I haven't actually heard anyone talk about this book yet. It's not released yet. It's coming out September 24th, but it is Sally Rooney's Intermezzo? I am so sorry. I have no idea. I actually came across this book on Goodreads. It's one of the most anticipated books of just the fall season. I actually haven't read a Sally Rooney book before. I've seen amazing things about her works, and the covers of her books are so sweet. I feel like they kind of walk that line of like cartoon cover and just very typography kind of covers, but I love them and I'm really excited to give this one a go. It's about grief, love, family. It's based around a group of brothers, so definitely I think it's going to be a little bit heavy. However, I did just read Abby Jimenez Just for the Summer, and I feel like there's kind of an overlap with topics and genres in there. So I'm feeling really excited for it. My birthday is actually September 21st, so I think it'll be a little bit of a late birthday gift to myself. That being said, I actually do have another Sally Rooney book here with me. It is Beautiful World, Where Are You? I actually got this one at Indigo. It was on sale for $8, so check your Indigo. It might be on clearance where you are as well. This follows Alex, who is a novelist, and Felix, who is a warehouse worker, and also two of their best friends. So if I'm not mistaken, we follow the four of them and their experiences as they're trying to navigate adulthood and just preparing for whatever the future has in store for them. This is also kind of a short one. It's about 300 pages, I believe. And I am so excited to read this one. I actually think this will be the first book I kind of jump into from this list. I'm just really looking forward to trying her writing style, honestly. And look how beautiful this cover is. I actually think this might be one of my favorite covers of this year so far. Those inner pages are also super beautiful. There's something just so pleasing about the art style that she does in her books. I want to see if I can find the artist that does it. So it looks like the jacket design is by Gray 318. I don't know what that means, but however, yes, I cannot wait to read this one. I think this one will actually be in my next video, if I'm mathing right, so be sure to watch out for that and give me your opinions on this. I'm kind of seeing it floating around right now, so if you have read this book, let me know what you gave it, and I can't wait to discuss it. Jumping into another romance, I was creeping around on Amazon the other day, and I found this part of Amazon that's, I believe it's called Amazon First Reads. If you have a Prime membership and a Kindle Unlimited membership, you get early access to some books coming out. If I'm not mistaken, definitely double check that, but I do believe that was kind of the stipulations to it. But I was scrolling through it just looking for anything that kind of caught my eye, and I came across Divorce Towers. It follows Addison, who is recently kind of refreshing her life, a little bit of a start over situation for her. So she ends up finding this job through, I believe, her uncle, where she is going to be the front desk at a condo building. And this high-rise is known to be filled of people that are recently divorced or separated and are young, attractive bachelors. And I ate this up. I was immediately like, this is the kind of, I hate to say garbage, but like garbage in a good way. It just feeds a part of my soul. I also do believe this might be a love triangle kind of situation. We are introduced to two guys, Dante, who is a talent agent, and Zach, who is described as a tech wizard. I do believe it's on Kindle Unlimited and, of course, this Amazon First Reads thing. If anybody else has kind of explored that page, let me know, because I don't know if it's new or if I just never realized it was there. Switching it up a little bit, I would love to try reading Trial of the Sun Queen. I think it was Rachel Catherine who was talking about this book in one of her reading vlogs, and it just seemed really interesting to me. It is the first book of a 4-book series. The only thing that I really know about it is that it has kind of that competition vibe that Fourth Wing and Throne of Glass has. And I love that. Both in Fourth Wing and Throne of Glass, that was my favorite part of those books, when they are either competing for a title or position or to stay alive. So yeah, I cannot wait to read that. Definitely like a fall kind of read for me, I think. We all love a good fantasy book in the fall, let's be honest. I also love that it is a part of a series, but I find a lot of fantasy series are like 6, 7, 8 books long, and this one's 4. That being said, I don't know if it's actually finished. I don't know much about the other books. However, I hope I love this one. It looks so good, and I just want those competition vibes. Another very autumn read, I have What Lies Between Us. This is one that I found on Kindle Unlimited, I believe. And it follows Nina and Maggie, who both live in the same house. And I believe it's kind of like a hostage situation that we're working with. The description that was on it very much gave me Frida McFadden, The Housemaid Book 1 kind of vibes at the beginning there. This isn't a spoiler, it's on the back of the book, but I believe Nina takes Maggie up to her attic bedroom and just locks her in, and she's not allowed to leave this house. As messed up as it sounds, thrillers like that specific trope, I don't know what that would be called, if it's hostage or I don't know, but it just pulls me in so quickly into a thriller and like figuring out how they're gonna get out of this situation. And yeah, I have actually really high hopes for this book, so I hope I love it. Again, I think it's going to be an autumn read, maybe come October, November. It's also a little bit bigger. It's 480 pages. Does it need to be? We will see. We have yet another fantasy book that I'd like to jump into. And of course, you've probably seen this one kind of floating around. It is When the Moon Hatched, which is the first book in the Moonfall series. I haven't seen anyone talk about the second book in this series. However, I've only heard positive things about the first one, so I'd like to jump in, give it a try. I don't know too many details of the actual storyline. I pretty much seen that it has dragons, and that was it. And I love me a good dragon story. I think they're just the cutest little creatures, and I am so glad they don't actually exist. However, I love them with my whole heart. I also think this one kind of gives like Fourth Wing vibes, or like Man in Blackbeak. So since I'm almost finished with the Throne of Glass series, I think I'm gonna need another kind of dragon book to keep me feeling like I'm still in that universe. I love Manon. When I first started and I seen her name floating around, I was like, I don't understand why everybody loves her, but she kind of creeps up on you. So hopefully this book kind of continues that feeling for me, and maybe there'll be another character in there that I just will eat up. I'm hoping for like another Manon and Abraxos dynamic. I just think it's so cute, so I have high hopes. That one is also kind of a hefty book. I don't know how many pages it is exactly, but I believe we're looking at like kind of Throne of Glass length novel. I feel like I can't be in this booktube space without reading this book. So of course I have tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow on my TBR for the rest of the year. The book was Goodreads' best pick for, I want to say, general fiction, literary fiction, general fiction. Last year, everyone has read it. I've heard so many positive things about this book. Apparently it's kind of video gamey. I haven't followed it too heavily because I wanted to be surprised about what it was about a little bit. However, I actually had a client reading this copy in my chair, and she finished it, and I just asked her how it was, and she was like, oh my gosh, it was so good. Do you know video games? And I was like, no. Immediately no. I don't know anything about video games. And she's like, you're gonna love it anyways. Take my copy and read it. So that's what I'm gonna do. I am looking forward to it a lot. It's also the paperback, and I thought this book was a lot bigger, but I think it's just because I've only seen the hard copy in person. So yeah, I think this will be a really good one. It's kind of giving me wintry vibes. I don't know why. I don't see myself reading this in the fall. However, maybe like come reading week or something when I'm looking for something kind of quick to get through, I think this might be up there. Next up, I have another one that it feels like everybody else has read and I just haven't jumped into it yet. The Shatter Me series. Now you may ask yourself, if you haven't read Shatter Me, what are you doing with all of the books? Or at least I believe this is all of the books. I might be missing a novella or two. I found them on Marketplace for cheap. They were all $30, so 8 books for $30. And I just couldn't say no to that. However, I did make the mistake of not asking if they were from a smoke-free home. So the past couple weeks, these 4 books have been sitting in a garbage bag with bounce sheets shoved in them, trying to get that smell out. And I'm happy to say it is actually only kind of working. So if you have any suggestions on buying used books or resold books and they have that like kind of cigarette smell in it, please let me know what you did to get rid of it. However, yes, I don't know if I need to go into too much depth about these books. Dystopian, romantasy, all the vibes. I've heard nothing but good things about it. The only criticism I seem to hear about it is that dystopian readers don't like calling this dystopian books. So I don't really know what that's about. I think it's post-zombie apocalypse. Post-apocalyptic zombie apocalypse. Post-apocalypse. I don't know how to say that word. You know what I mean. But I am really looking forward to reading these. I also think it'll be great for when I'm really in the mood just to get through like a series. I think this is going to be perfect. It is YA, I believe, and I find YA, romantasy or fantasy, goes by so much faster just because it's really easy read. I am really calling myself out in this video for not reading a lot of the BookTok staples. However, I do also want to read these 3 Emily Henry books. I have heard nothing but good things about these. My clients that read always tell me that these are their favorite books, and I will definitely get to it because I promised one of them that I would read Funny Story and Beach Read before the next time she comes in. So I am definitely going to read that one, and I already have Happy Place on my Kindle, so I am on my way to reading these books. I think it's one of those things where I've heard so many positive things about it that I've built it up in my head and now I'm scared that I'm not gonna like it, which is a really silly reason to not even try it. But I think they'll be great books, especially for if I find myself in a reading slump. Please do not let me find myself in a reading slump at some point in the next couple months. I think these will be great books just to kind of get me back into the mood for reading. Again, I haven't read any Emily Henry books yet. I just hear really positive things about her writing style and the way she describes romance in her book. I'm really looking forward to Funny Story. I feel like that one seems to really just be a crowd pleaser. But yes, maybe I'll do their own separate video for that of just reading Emily Henry books, and I'll try and knock off a couple other ones of hers. But let me know down below, what is your favorite Emily Henry book? What other ones should I add to my list of her must-reads? I've heard mixed things about people we meet on vacation. And I think there's another, book lovers. I've heard mixed things about book lovers too. So let me know, should I add those ones? Should I add any other ones that I don't know about? Next up, I have another fantasy series. This one is kind of a weird one for me. My boyfriend also reads, and in my head, he reads like adult fantasy, you know, like really developed, like hard to understand fantasy. I don't know if that's true. I just know, I mean, some of these books back here are his as well. However, this is kind of one of those funny moments where our tastes are overlapping a little bit. So I have Brandon Sanderson, the Mistborn trilogy. Again, Rachel Catherine was reading, she read the first one in one of her reading vlogs, and she loved it. And if she loved it, then I just have convinced myself that I'm gonna love it too. I ended up getting the pocketbook size of these books. This is like a normal book size in comparison. And I'm really glad I did. Looking at like the full size of these books seemed really daunting. However, I must say the font is a little intimidating. These are pretty long books too. I believe the first one is 600, and then I think is 8, and then 700. However, with the size of these books, I feel like psychologically it is going to feel a lot shorter and they'll be a lot easier to get through. But I am so excited to read this trilogy. It's one of my boyfriend's favorites, so I really want to love it too. And I think I will. He said it's kind of like a good starting point into Brandon Sanderson's work, which is never ending. He also has another book coming out in September, I believe. I don't know if it's a part of one of his series. Apparently they all kind of overlap at some point, and like he has this like insane map of his universes and how they interconnect. But I think this is a good place to start. Let me know if you have tried this, if you've read any Brandon Sanderson, if I am right in thinking that it is kind of like a grade higher of fantasy, if that makes sense. I don't know what that would be called. And my last two reads that I would love to add for this year are the first and second books of the Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez series. I just read just for this summer, and oh my god, I loved it so much. I totally understand why everybody has been talking about it this summer. I feel like it was the book of the summer. I started it yesterday at about, I want to say like 7 o'clock-ish. And I read till about 11. And then I finished the last hour of it this morning. So yeah, 400 pages in roughly 4-ish hours maybe. It was so addicting. I would love to find more romance books of that kind of style where there's just so much other things going on in it as well. We talked about grief, trauma, mental health, family dynamics, boundaries. It was amazing. And watching a couple navigate these kind of emotions, I feel like is such an important thing to know and just have kind of a role model in your head in a way of ways to navigate those kinds of situations. So I would highly, highly recommend that third book. That being said, I have not read the first and second, Part of Your World or Yours Truly, but I think I'm going to. They never really piqued my interest, but after the third one, I just thought her writing style was beautiful and it was so easy to get through. Definitely dialogue heavy books, so if you love that, please try it. It is so good. It is so fast paced. I have to say, like, can I picture what these characters look like? No. But the story was so good without that you don't need to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So apparently that was 30 books on my TBR. So yeah, that is the 30 books that I am super excited to hopefully read for the end of this year. Again, will all of those happen? Probably not. Am I going to try my best? Absolutely. That is the 30 books that are on my end of year TBR. I would love to read so many of these amazing books in 2024. Let me know down below, have you read any of these books? Are you trying to get any of these in for your last little bit of your reading goal? Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.